The broken mirror. Evelyn Harris had always been meticulous about her home. Her house, an old Victorian with creaky floorboards and ornate woodwork, was her sanctuary. When her husband Thomas passed away 6 months ago, she poured herself into maintaining it, hoping that keeping busy would stave off the loneliness that threatened to swallow her whole. One cold evening in late October, as the wind howled outside, Evelyn decided it was time to address the one area of the house she had been avoiding: the attic. The attic was a cluttered mess of forgotten furniture and dusty relics from the past. Evelyn had never liked going up there. Something about the space felt wrong, almost as if it were holding its breath. As she climbed the narrow stairs, each step creaked under her weight, the sound echoing in the confined space. The air grew colder, more oppressive. She reached the attic door, its surface chipped and warped with age. Evelyn hesitated, but the need to confront her unease drove her forward. She turned the handle and pushed the door open. The attic was dimly lit by a single dusty bulb hanging from the ceiling. Evelyn squinted through the gloom, her eyes adjusting to the shadows. As she moved further in, her gaze fell upon an old, ornate mirror propped up against the far wall. It had been covered with a white sheet, which now lay in a crumpled heap on the floor. Curiosity piqued. Evelyn approached the mirror. Its frame was intricate, adorned with carvings of twisted vines and grotesque faces. The glass, though cracked and tarnished, still reflected a dim, wavering image of the attic. Evelyn reached out to wipe off the dust, her fingers trembling. As she cleaned the surface, the reflection seemed to shimmer, the shadows within the mirror twisting and darkening. Evelyn's heart began to race. She looked into the mirror and saw not just the cluttered attic, but something else, an indistinct, shadowy figure standing behind her. Evelyn spun around, but the attic was empty. When she looked back at the mirror, the figure was still there, now closer, more defined. It was a man, his face obscured by darkness, but his eyes, they were unmistakable. They were Thomas's eyes, hollow and staring. Panic surged through her. She fumbled for the light switch, but the bulb flickered and went out, plunging the attic into darkness. Evelyn's breath came in short, sharp gasps. She heard the faintest whisper, like a breeze brushing against her ear. "Evelyn!" She spun around, but there was no one there. The whisper grew louder, more insistent. It was coming from the mirror. Evelyn hesitated, but was drawn back to it. As she approached, the figure's face became clearer, and she realized with horror that it was not just Thomas's eyes. It was Thomas's face, twisted in agony. The mirror began to vibrate, and Evelyn could see the shadowy figure reaching out towards her, its hand passing through the glass as if it were liquid. Evelyn stumbled backward, her mind racing. She had to get out of the attic. As she turned to flee, the mirror's surface rippled, and a cold, clammy hand grabbed her wrist. Desperate, Evelyn wrenched free and raced down the stairs. The attic door slammed shut behind her with a deafening bang. She stood in the hallway, her breath coming in ragged gasps, her heart pounding. The house was silent, save for the distant, mournful wail of the wind outside. Evelyn's mind was reeling. She had to do something, anything, to get rid of the mirror. She grabbed a hammer from the toolbox in the basement and, with trembling hands, returned to the attic. But when she opened the door, the mirror was gone. In its place was just an empty wall, the shadows that had clung to it now gone. Evelyn stared at the spot where the mirror had been, her mind struggling to grasp what she had just witnessed. The house was silent again, but Evelyn couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed, something fundamental and terrifying. She never ventured into the attic again, and she kept the door locked tight. Yet sometimes, late at night, she would catch a glimpse of her own reflection in the hallway mirror, and for a split second, she would see not just her face, but something darker, something that should not be there.